American award-winning journalist Dawn Montgomery, she didn't hold back. She was talking about the WNBA, and she also took a shot at Caitlin Clark when the WNBA announced their TV schedule, and Indiana has 41 games out of 44 nationally televised games. But we're going to talk about all that here next, here on the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Dawn Montgomery, she's an American award-winning journalist, and she didn't pull no punches when it came to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. Now, we all know recently the WNBA dropped their schedule, and it features Indiana Fever on television 41 times in prime time out of 44 games. Now, regardless of how y'all guys see it and how y'all want to call it, the marketing of one player putting their eggs all in one basket and putting the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark on all these nationally televised games, some people have a different opinion. Some people have an opinion like, well, she's the cash cow. You want to put her face all over TV. But some people don't like that notion. Now, we saw Nafisha Collier go on ESPN First Take, and ESPN First Take, they tried to pin her in a corner, but she answered the question so eloquently. And she said, yeah, Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, they deserve to be on TV, but the champions of the WNBA, the New York Liberty, are getting slighted in this sense because they're the reigning champions and they don't have 41 games. They only have like 31 or 32. And Nafisha Collier said, that's crazy work. That's crazy. And see, a lot of people have different opinions, and a lot of people have voiced their opinions on the way the WNBA are marketing certain players instead of marketing all the star players that are in the WNBA and growing this league as a whole and not just featuring on certain players. So Dawn Montgomery, y'all do the research on her. She's an American award-winning journalist. She does a lot of things with mental health. She's a mental health advocate, and she spoke her piece. And basically, when she said what she had to say, it was a shot toward the WNBA and Kathy Engelhart. But at the same sense, she went in on Caitlin Clark and said some things that I'm like, wow, she really went down that road and said these things about Caitlin Clark. And I'm basically saying to myself, she had the balls and the guts to come out and say those things, and she stood on it. She stood 10 toes down, and you won't believe what she said. It kind of caught me off guard, like she was so boisterous in when she said it. But before we get off into what Dawn Montgomery said, right now, I'm on the road to 14,000 subscribers. Right now, I'm at 13,986. The goal is to get to 14,000 by this weekend. And if you're new to this platform, you're new to my channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. And with the support of you guys, we can reach it. And oh, by the way, tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, let's get off into what Dawn Montgomery had to say about the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark being in prime time, 41 out of 44 Indiana Fever games. Let's take a look. She said, this makes absolutely no sense. I swear. They're putting all their money into that girl who ain't done bleep but be white. I'm sick of this. Then she said, as enough is enough. Enough is a damn enough. Dawn Montgomery. Then, she goes to her X account, and this is what she says. This makes absolute no sense. I swear they're putting all their money into that girl who ain't done shit but be white. I'm sick of this. And Kathy. I don't care if I don't ever get invited to a WNBA related event nor games anymore. Enough is a damn enough. And then I Talk Hoop said the Indiana Fever will make up nearly 40% of all WNBA games broadcast on ESPN and ABC. Contract 7 of the 13 will have fewer games on these channels. So Dawn Montgomery made it clear that she is getting sick of what Kathy Engelhart and the WNBA are doing. And she basically had to say what she had to say to get Kathy Engelhart's attention. And who was the casualty in all this? It was Caitlin Clark. Because what she said, this makes absolutely no sense that they're putting all their eggs in one basket and all their money into a girl that ain't did nothing but be white. And she stood 10 toes down. And it's unfortunate that Caitlin Clark had to catch the stray in this to get, Kathy Engelhart's attention. But at the same time, she says she's sick of it and it makes no damn sense. And it's almost like people are hiding and don't want to be very boisterous. But she says she don't care if she don't get invited to no WNBA related events anymore. She could care less. So what Dawn said, this is how she feels. She feels like a lot of people are saying you have to market the WNBA. You have to market all these stars. You have to feature all these stars. But at the same sense, man, it's time that somebody stepped up and said the things that Dawn said to really get, the attention of the commissioner. Because there's people out there that feel the same way as Dawn Montgomery. And she was just bold enough and brave enough to come to the forefront and give her opinion and to say it the way she said. And like I said, it's unfortunate that Caitlin Clark caught the stray in this, because this is all centered around what the WNBA is doing to try to market one superstar and try to push this narrative that if we put our eggs all in one basket and put everything behind Caitlin Clark, we're going to be successful. But you got to look at it on the flip side. This might backfire on the WNBA. Regardless of how people feel about Caitlin Clark's stardom, this might backfire. Because there's other teams and other superstars that people want to see on television, especially in these small markets where you can't get a nationally televised game. People want to see different people play. If you want to grow the WNBA as a whole, you got to do it the right way. And I did some research on what Stephen A. Smith said about when Michael Jordan came into the league. All they did was market Michael Jordan. That's an absolute lie. That's an absolute lie. All y'all got to do is do y'all's research. When Michael Jordan came into the league, they did not just advertise Michael Jordan. They advertised everybody that was in the league before Michael Jordan. And that's how the NBA grew. Because you got to realize when the NBA played back in the days, they was on playback. They was, televised games was not that many televised games. You know, Michael Jordan had the Nike commercials, the Gatorade commercials. I want to be like Mike. But at the same time, they were still advertising Larry Bird and Magic Johnson with the Cons commercials. It was advertising back in the days, Daryl Dawkins, the Iceman George Gervin. So Stephen A. Smith went on ESPN when he was talking to Nafisha Collier and told Nafisha Collier a bold-faced lie. Just do the research. Do the research on what Stephen A. Smith said, and then y'all come back and holler at me in the comment section because I'm giving you facts. Stephen A. Smith, sometimes he gets checked, and you see the situation that's going around with him and LeBron. You know, he did this same thing with Allen Iverson. Thought he was all goody-goody with Allen Iverson, thought he knew Allen Iverson, which that came out to be a lie. He lied on Allen Iverson, and he also lied on Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant came out and checked him in 2010, 2011. And now he's on the internet saying that LeBron is a liar. You know, you got to take Stephen A. for face value. But he told Nafisha Collier a bold-faced lie when talking about they was only promoting Michael Jordan when he came in the league. Bold-faced lie. But I see everybody in the comments section, #salute. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. We will catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.